Welcome to 12 Hours in the Future with Maria Sanchir. I'm beyond excited to have this guest with me today. You are familiar with his work as a writer from 1999 comedy Happy Texas, starring Steve Zahn, Jeremy Northam, and William H. Macy. Also, his movie Griffin and Phoenix, starring Amanda Peet, Dermot Mulroney. Sorry, this is such a difficult word.
It's all good. It's all
Mulroney. I'm sorry. He's one of
I
my
won't tell him. I won't tell him.
thank you. Please don't. And one of my favorites, Sarah Paulson. His upcoming animation will be in theaters this July. Paws of Fury. This is Ed Stone. It is a huge honor to talk to you today. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm a writer. I don't get out much, so this is amazing. It's
Right.
great.
Yeah, I'm like I cannot believe you actually said yes because I
Oh,
have like two listeners and both of them are probably my parents. So
no, 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 it's all good. This
so
is how you build. This is how you build your audience. You get more
right.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Listen, I love talking about what we do because it's sometimes you pinch yourself that we're so lucky, and it has horrible parts of it too, but the good parts are really exciting and amazing. So I'm very happy to talk about it. I'm very happy to talk to you, and I have a long history with Lehman University. So I actually filmed several scenes of Griffin and Phoenix on the Lehman campus in
Right.
2007. Yeah, yeah.
How great.
So they were so great. They were so welcoming, and we had beautiful shots. And so when
Oh,
people see it, they go to school there, they'll go, "Oh, that's my classroom," or
right.
"That's where I go for lunch," or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So I wanted to start from the beginning. I'm gonna take you a little bit back.
Okay.
You
Oh
have
gosh,
graduated from New Mexico State University and moved to LA to pursue your dream of playing sports, right? I wanted to ask because
that was
it's
a,
like
that was a joke.
assumption, right? Of a right?
That was a joke.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I
I love it. I
actually
love that you've read my bio because there are
of course I
jokes in
did.
the bio.
No, of
I
course
wrote
I did.
jokes in the bio.
Oh, wow. Oh my God, my half of my interview. No, I'm joking. Like, it was just can you
Right.
imagine if I just built the whole interview on you?
About sports. Well, you know what? I would go with you. I would make it up as we went. It would be fun. It'd be
Right,
fun.
because you're a writer.
Yeah. Here you go.
Okay, so we'll go there. Why are you a writer? What made you fall in love with writing? Was it a
Oh,
movie, book, or TV show? I don't know.
no,
Like,
no. I moved to. I graduated with a degree in theater,
mhm,
and I moved to LA to be an actor, and got little tiny parts in TVs and movies. But there was so much downtime while you're working all your crappy jobs, your lousy jobs, and you want to be keep doing something artistic. And I had a friend who was a writer, and he encouraged me to start trying to do that just for fun.
right.
And and then it became kind of the overriding passion. It just became what I really enjoyed doing, and uh, what I had a really huge heart for. And I remember one time getting a call from my agent, and I had not sold a script, and I was working on yet another script that would not sell. And my agent called and said, "You have an audition this afternoon." I was like, "I can't go. I'm writing. I can't go to the audition." And
Right.
I went, oh my God, I'm not an actor anymore. I'm not an actor anymore.
Epiphany.
Yeah. So that's kind of, yeah, it was an epiphany. But way back in the day, way before you were born, uh, I was a I was a radio personality for about 11 years, and I realized that I was writing every day. I was writing material every single day,
Uh-huh.
uh, back then, which really has helped now, because when you're on a set and something's not working and you have to change it like then, uh, it's just like being in radio again. It's like going back and going, all right, like we're on the fly. Let's do it.
Cool.
Yeah. So I
Wow.
did the whole thing what everybody did. I worked all the cruddy jobs. I wrote a zillion scripts that nobody seemed to like or care about. Um, and I think it's a story I've told before, but I finished the first script and I stayed up all night practicing my Academy Award speech because I was sure it was the greatest thing that I was ever gonna. And it was horrible. And then I wrote the next script and did the same thing. I practiced my speech, but this time I wrote it down. And after about the fourth script that didn't sell, I stopped practicing my Academy Award speeches. So I gave up on that. But special message is for people that do art. You have to love the art. You can't love what you think the result's going to be. You have to actually enjoy being in the moment. You have to enjoy acting. You have to enjoy painting. You have to enjoy writing a song, or like
Right.
that has to be the reward, because what you think the outcome will be is never what it's going to be.
Right.
Sometimes it's way better, but it's always different. And if it's about money or awards, you're doing it for the wrong reason anyway. It's the wrong reason.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really glad that you mentioned your agent, because maybe it's a weird question, but I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like it's one of the very important things to get your foot in the door, right? Like to have a representation. I keep saying, like, no matter how talented you are, if you don't have somebody rooting for you who knows where to go, who to talk to, which door to
Right.
knock at, like nobody's not gonna listen to you, right? So I wanted to ask, what was your process of getting an agent? Like, how did you do that?
I'm so glad you brought this up, because people have the idea of representation backwards.
Okay.
And when you're outside the business, because everybody thinks, oh, you get an agent and then you get work. It's exactly the opposite. You get work and then you get an agent. And that's when things change, because agents, and God bless all of them, but their DNA is different.
Okay.
And rarely does an agent go, oh, you're a great artist, I want to help you. Agents like to make money.
Of course.
Agents go, oh, I think your movie's going to sell, I want to help you.
Mhm.
Because they want to. And then that changes your life, because what you said before, all of a sudden now you have access that you never had before. You have someone that when you write something, they go, oh, I know just the person to send this to, or I can make this phone call for you, or they'll go fight the fight for you. And that's a beautiful thing. But people all the time come to LA and go, I'm going to get an agent, I'm going to get a job. Does not happen. It does not happen. You get a job, you figure out a way to create a business, and then agents will go, oh, I want to be part of that, because it's the business. They're the business side of the equation. It's one coin, but so you can concentrate on the art while they concentrate on the business. So I always tell people that come here, like, don't chase agents, chase work. Go chase work, and go, if you can't get work, create work. And that's and again, that's one of the most important things they'll learn, because the agent won't care until they feel like there's a deal, because that's what they do. They make deals. And
Right.
again, God love them, God bless them, fantastic. But it's very difficult. It's very, very, for writing, it's very difficult, because uh, you have to somehow get stuff on camera. And the whole world's changed now because of streaming and being able to make stuff with your phone. You can actually start putting stuff on camera. When I came out, you had to be on film. You had to get something on film somehow. But yes, agents, managers change your world because of the access that they have, but they will not change your world until you can show that you can make them money and be worth their time. Their time is very, very expensive. So you have to show that you're worth the time, worth the effort, worth the, all the striking out, because everybody strikes out. Everybody, even the biggest strike out. The biggest don't win every win. They don't,
Right. 100%.
Steven Spielberg, he wins every win. That's it.
Oh yeah. Well, right. How they call them? Like, I don't remember which movie, but in one movie, I remember like an actor playing an actor, and his phone rings, and he brings it out, and it's called like 10%, and it's his agent.
You know, I know it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. So yeah, again, the most important thing, I don't care what kind of artist is, you have to chase your art. You have to go chase the art. And if you can find a place to out yourself, and that's what you need to out yourself, then agents will be interested, and then they'll get. I've got one story, because again, I was sure I was going to win all the awards on planet Earth and be all famous, but when I first my first agent, who I loved, was at a really tiny agency, and then my first movie sold, and it was a big deal, um, and I thought, well, now all the big agencies will call me. Now I'll get all the big agents are going to really want me.
Naturally. Yeah.
Right. And so I was at home one day and I was writing back when there was a landline phone, caller ID, and I got a call from like one of the agencies in town, one of the big. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to be cool. Like, I love my agent and he's my friend. And you know what? I'm just going to tell them that I'm just going to stick with the guy that believes in me. And, you know, and I appreciate their interest, but maybe we'll talk down the road. I answered the phone. The guy goes, hey, is Al there? I'm like, no. Oh, sorry. Wrong number. Oh
Oh
my
no.
God. That was my one agency call. That was the one big agency call. Exactly. Oh, such an idiot. So deluded. But you know, but my agent is one of my best friends, and you know, I was in his wedding, and he was in mine, and you know, it's been great. He's been great.
Great. I wanted to ask, do you ever write something and think, okay, I actually might have something really good here? Because you know, like everybody suffer from the imposter syndrome, right? So,
Right.
like, what am I doing?
Uh,
Have
Two things.
you ever had that?
Yes, without a doubt. Everybody I know has
You wrote
imposter
the
syndrome.
speech.
I have terrible imposter syndrome, but I also, if I don't believe that what I'm writing is
Mhm.
super great, then
Uh-huh.
no one else is going to think that. And so I have to lose myself in believing I'm doing good work. Like I believe I'm doing good work. Now I've been hired to like rewrite movies and stuff like that. And you just go, there's just no way to make this, like I can make it better,
Uh-huh.
but you know, the construct is I can't make it great. Um, and so when you kind of go, well, and then you just kind of get your head around, I'm going to make it as great as I can. I'm just going to give it my best shot. And if you're hard to do that, usually on a deadline anyway. And
Mhm.
so I have till next Thursday to make it great. And I'm trying to make it as good as I can by next Thursday. And then,
Yeah.
you know, hope that I didn't show that I'm an imposter, because that happens every time you turn in a page, you think, this is the day they find out that I can't do this. I can't. I just saw an interview with Tom Hanks, and he says the first day on the set of every movie he makes, he's terrified that this is the one they're going to find out he can't act.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, everybody like has that, right? Because
Right.
I
But
mean, I sort of write myself, and then when I'm writing, I'm like, oh, this is good. And then I put it down, and I come back, and it's, oh my God, this is
oh,
crap.
it's terrible. I know. Everybody, no one I know can watch their movies once they're done.
That's
They
so
can't
weird.
watch them.
Like, what do you?
You know, you just can't, because you just all you see is the mistake or the missed opportunity or the why did I do? I had they talk. She talks too much. I should have just had
Right.
her just look at him, and you know, you just see the mistakes. You just see all the chances you had to make it really good, and then you messed up. So
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
yeah,
Right.
shoulda, woulda, coulda. And you know, you'll go to film festivals and you'll speak before the film with like all the movie stars and everybody that worked on it, and they'll show the movie, and we'll all go out in the lobby and talk for an hour and a
Mhm.
half because none of us can stand to look at the movie. Like you're like, oh, terrible. Like I'll turn on the TV and I'll go through channels. I go, oh, there's one of my movies. Oh, quick, go past, go past, go past.
Right. But then when I accept my Oscar, I'll say,
Oh, exactly. Then I'll,
sorry
well,
for this one.
exactly. I would just like
Right.
to go to the Oscars one time. I think that'd be fun. Golden Globes, back when you could drink, that would be fun.
Yeah. If it's still gonna be on TV, right?
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah, I
think
think
so.
they didn't even invite in one place people. I think they just like distributed it like
I
to
think
the
so.
winners this year, right? I think
I
they
think
did that.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole world's changed the last few years for things like that. So
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
With the
You know,
slap especially.
I know. You know, in the old days, it would be so fun because for your podcast, like, oh well, I'll come to New York and then we'll do the podcast. It'll be so great, you know.
Right.
And like, oh, the podcast. I'll see you on Zoom in 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine like this is I'm thinking you're gonna be my I don't even I lost the count. I think eighth guest, none in person yet.
I know. See, I know. And part of the fun is, and listen, I'm having a blast, and I'm so happy to be here. But
Oh, thank you.
it's the same thing. Like working on like the last couple of years, working on films.
Right.
We work on Zoom, and you know, and there'll be someone in London and someone in Montreal and somebody's in Hong Kong, but we're all on Zoom together. But the energy and the creativity, the level never gets up to where it is when it's in person. I think for any art, the immediacy is what makes it special. It's like doing a play on Broadway on Zoom. Like, it's just impossible. It's just not interesting.
Can you
It's
imagine?
I know.
Always like in the background.
I know. It's
Dancing. In their living room.
I know. Ready to get out. And the funny thing too, being a writer, writers are solitary anyway. And we always looked forward to like going to the meeting. Like, oh, I'll see human beings. It'll be amazing. Now you just click on Zoom and then you click off and you're still at home.
Apparently you're still alone.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, like it deviated so much.
No, it's this,
I wanted to ask, like, do you ever act out your dialogue or actions to check the pace, or
always
throw yourself against the wall or something?
Always. Well, I don't throw myself against the wall, but I do always read dialogue out loud, because you when you're writing, it's in your head and you get it down, but it's not until you hear it out loud do you know if it works or not. And especially if you're trying to make sure that every character has a distinct voice and a distinct way of speaking. And I'm really big on every character should have their own vocabulary, their own set of words that they use, because that's how people are. And a lot of young writers, everyone sounds the same because they write in their own voice. And the only way to do that is to speak out loud. And I've lived in apartment buildings where people were banging on the door at 2 a.m. because they thought there was a fight going on, or can you turn down the TV? There's too much laughter happening, or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was just writing this little scene. I was just trying it out, But I do. I act it all out, and I'm embarrassed to say, but I give it full emotion. If people are crying, I figure out how to make them cry. I figure out how to cry.
I love it.
And I make myself laugh all the time at the most inappropriate moments, because I'll write something and I'll say it, and then I'll say it how they say it, and it strikes me as funny, and I'll be screaming with laughter, and then that's usually a knock on my door. Sorry. I'm sorry. Like, who are you talking to? Nobody. It wasn't me. It was Dermot Mulroney talking.
Because I do that sometimes too, like when I'm reading my stuff, and then when I would laugh at something that I write, I would kind of feel ashamed a little bit, like, oh, like, you think you're so good, like laughing.
No. But it should be, if it makes you laugh. Again, if you don't believe in it, no one else will. If it's not funny to you, people won't think it's funny. If you don't get to that emotion where the tear comes down, the person, it's not going to happen for them either. Like, that's our job, is to keep writing to get to those places. And so, sometimes I grab my mouth if I'm being too loud or screaming, and I realize, but no, that's the passion you want to have, right? You want to get up and you want to walk around the room and you want to say, you want to have the fight with the person that you love, and like, I love you and I'm so mad at you right now. And you want to do all that, because that's the fun part of it. That's the fun part of it. And I'm sometimes jealous of like writing teams, because, at 3 a.m. on a deadline, they can do that together. They can do that together. And I'm like, oh, that's why television is so exciting for writers, because you get that writer's room. You have all those really smart, quick brains all working together. And film writers are always jealous of TV writers, always jealous, because they get that fun. They get really a bunch of smart people all together trying to create something, which is great. And that's why when you get to making the movie itself or the TV show itself, that's the best part, because then it's more smart people in the room,
right,
all working together, to make something. It's really exciting.
Yeah, like the energy, just the energy in the room, right? Like,
the energy, yes. And you're so, and to see the expertise of, people see movies, they have no idea that lifetimes are spent, and the littlest thing that's always over here in the corner or back over there, or somebody built this thing, or they have no idea, like the the artistry and the craftsmanship and the work and every aspect. And to be around that it's always so exciting, and it makes you want to do better because you don't want to be the weak link, you know, you want
Oh
to be
yeah,
the
for sure. Yeah, because I've heard this kind of story. I think Aaron Sorkin once told how he acts out his stuff, and then once he had this like stabbing like some scene, and he was like acting it out alone at home. And he
right.
yeah, he threw himself into a wall, and there was like a mirror or something, so it broke, and he like got like eviscerated all of himself, like bleeding. And he called his friend, and she sort of knows that he does that, and she came down to like put some stitches and stuff, and he's like, it's okay, the bleeding, like, what do you think about my scene?
I know exactly how. What did it play well? Did it play
Yeah.
well? That's all I want to know. We used to go to the studios and you would pitch your movie. You know, they would say pitch your movie, and like you would take 20 minutes or whatever, and you would
Right.
pitch the movie. And I had one where there's one female character had a really rough. The whole movie was really rough time, but at the very, very end of the movie, the last scene, it's this beautiful thing where she gets it all right, right? Where it all works out for her. It's beautiful. So I do the whole pitch, and I get to this last scene, and I've been waiting for this last scene because I'm so excited. It's so beautiful, and I start telling it, and I start crying, so blubbery, and I can't finish the movie. I'm just going, and then she's, and then, and I became like a 3-year-old kid, you know, with no binky, and I was like, oh my god. And my manager at the time had to go, let me finish this for you. Okay, this is what happens. Okay, she dies, but it's good. I'm like, oh. No, but you know, again, you have to believe, you have to be. If you're not in it, no one else will be. No one else will be there. And the great thing about being a writer is you can do that every day. Like you know what I mean? You can actually do your art every day. If you're a musician, you can't do your art every day. If you're an actor, you can't do your art every day because you need an audience. You have to have an audience to do that. But we can be a really good audience of one. So,
Just
and we
work
have to be
just
the first. We're the first audience member that has to pass us to go to the next one.
right. Well, yeah, right. Yeah, I never really thought of it like that.
All
Yeah,
right.
right. Yeah. So the most important, and I guess most famous question that writers are asked: how do you overcome your writer's block? Right?
Oh
Do
gosh,
you have tricks? Yeah, I know.
terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible, and everybody gets it. Aaron Sorkin gets it. Everybody gets it. Um, it's funny. I've tried everything.
Okay.
Uh, Alcohol, which is a problem with a lot of writers block people. But no, you know, it's truly the only way to get through writer's block is to write.
Hmm.
And even if you don't, even if you're working on something and you know you're not writing what you want to get, you just need to write something because you're going to come back and change it anyway. Even if it's perfect, you're going to rewrite it. You just have to write. And you know, and if you're stuck because you don't know how she breaks up with him, right? You're not sure. It's the most important thing. Then you just write she breaks up with him, and then you look at it and you go, and then you give her some more to do, and then you stomp around the room for an hour, and you take a walk, and you come back, and then you give her more to, and you have to keep building on that, and if you'll do that enough days in a row, and I mean enough days in a row, because writer's block sometimes goes on just forever and ever and ever. You'll write, something will happen. You'll write a sentence or you'll write an exchange, and all of a sudden it breaks the curse. It'll break the curse. It'll unlock the part that you haven't been able to get to. But it's almost like giving your brain busy work.
Hmm.
So your brain's busy because you know how you'll get an idea and you'll go do something else, and then the idea will become full because like you kind of tricked your brain. You told your brain like, hey, look over here, and then the idea comes. It's almost, you almost want to do the same thing. You almost want to just write something else and trick your brain, and then your brain will come back to it. And you know, and there's lots of stuff too. I have a really good friend that gave me this years ago, and it helps when I have writer's block. Before you go to bed at night, you say out loud what you're working on. You say out loud what you want to fix.
Oh,
And
interesting.
and people talk about this with dream state, is that your brain continues to work on the problem. Your brain will work on the problem. And the number of times, and I've talked to other writers about this, those moments early in the morning, just as you go from sleep to awake, there's that kind of dead zone.
Yeah.
The number of times that dead zone, that the idea will be there, like the moment will be there. And it, and it's not a trick. It doesn't work all the time, but you throw everything you can against writer's block. You throw every trick. You try it all. You try it all. I used to always change my location. I spend a lot of time in the places I've lived to get a place that has good vibe, good artistic vibe. And if I'm really, really stuck, and this, I used to do this when I was younger and had more disposable income, but I would go out of town. I would go somewhere else. I would go just somewhere so my brain wasn't doing this. They say that the thoughts a person has, 97% of the time are the exact same thoughts you had the day before. So there's only a 3% change, because you go to the same restaurants, you take the same walk, you live in the same house, you do. And so,
routine, right? Familiar.
and one of the things, go change it up where your brain thinks about something else. Go see something new. Go somewhere for a couple of days and camp or walk or anything like that.
Wow. Because I'm like on the week number 3, and I have
Yeah.
finals. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
And I tell everybody, the most important thing a writer does is pay attention, like to detail, pay attention. So go to new places and see new details and see if that doesn't open up, some of the artistic thoughts. Yeah. Change it up. Anyway, those are like 3 different things that I do.
It's a priceless advice. What was a priceless advice for you throughout your career, like that you got?
For both of your parents.
anything, like anything.
Right. I had a really good friend, a really famous writer, and he's no longer with us, but he created a club, and it was called the Forgetful Club. And it just meant that if you were stuck, you could call anyone in the club at any hour, and you could just ask any question, and they knew you were right. And so he would call like at 2 a.m. and you're like, hello, and he goes like, what do you call the thing, where you put stuff and it keeps it really cold and you can't, like a refrigerator? Okay, and he'd hang up, because sometimes you just get
the word, you forget the word, and you just
you can't think of the word or the concept. And so we had this club all the time, and you get the word as calls, like, what's the kind of dog that saves people in the snow? Saint Bernard? Yes, thanks. Hang up.
Cool. That's so cool.
It was.
Wow, no, that's amazing. I have that a lot, and I have a little bit way of out, because I would remember it in different languages, so I would go and translate it.
Yeah, no, I love this. No, please go ahead. I want to hear.
I would just translate it. I would just think about it because sometimes I would forget, like when I get tired, like my English, because I've never been in an environment where I have to speak English 100% all the time.
All the time, right?
Yeah, before. So because I would mix match with other stuff, languages, but
right.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm writing or talking to somebody, I would just forget the word, but I know it in other languages, so I just I'll look it up.
And you'll try and translate it. No, it's genius. That's fantastic.
That's how I
love that.
Sometimes. Yeah, that's how I would do.
I love that. Do you use multiple languages in your writing? Do you use multiple?
No, only English. I don't know. I can't write in my native language, nor I can write in my second language. I don't know. It's like a thing. I've never been a child who wrote.
Right.
Like when I was in the school and college, I wouldn't that wasn't me. But then I worked for a couple of years, and then I went to China to study Mandarin. And I came back. I had no job at that time. And I remember it was between my birthday and following 4 days, I think. It just came in. And I wrote a book.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
I sat down and I spent 5 months at home, right? But I'm writing in English.
Oh, right.
And I'm I would wake up 7 p.m., right? And I would write the whole night.
Oh, amazing.
And I would go to bed in the morning when life is starting. I'm going to bed, and I would start the
Right.
day. That's how
Right.
I wrote my first book. I don't know, like it just came to me because I don't even remember composing like literary sentence when I was in school. I never had that, but it
Right.
just came to me. Now I write. Like I love to write. I was so happy when pandemic happened and I didn't have to write. I was like, script, adaptation, you know, because I didn't have to think about anything. So I was like,
Right.
adapted the whole book into a series. You know, like
Oh,
that's
that's
how.
amazing. That's amazing story.
Yeah, 'cause I don't have to like when I'm in corporate world and I'm like working and like it's like I can't like it's just my brain is into like numbers and like marketing and all that, so I can't like create. So
Right.
when I don't have to think about it, I'm just like typing away, my fingers out.
Do you still write all night? Are you still a night writer?
I would write whenever I can, basically. But I'm having like a block right now, and I have to submit my final for screenplay writing to Professor Stowe, your friend.
She's a terrible, mean professor, horrible, mean professor.
No, she's amazing, actually.
Terrible.
And yeah, and she's I love her. She's amazing, and we need to like submit my final, and I'm 2 acts in, and I need another 1 act, I think, for the
Right.
script that I'm writing. And I'm like, I haven't done a letter in that script for last like 3 weeks, maybe even a
Oh,
little bit more. I'm like,
right.
well, well, I'll get it done. Like if I have to, I will write something like to
Do you
finish.
know, are you aware, do you know the one thing that's holding you up? You know that the one spot, or is it the entire, is it finishing it that's holding you back?
There's like a couple of details that I just don't know how to wave in
Mhm.
together, kind of. It's like a whole story, and like people are like, okay, what's gonna happen next? And because the third act, you know, like because the most interesting part, and like nothing is revealed, and like I'm like 30 something pages in, and people, my classmates are like, you still didn't say anything. Like we need to
Right.
know.
Right.
Like
You have to give the audience something along the way. You have to give them
yeah,
something.
I'm like, well, like everything that is in the script means something. There's nothing like out of nowhere. So I'm gonna
Right.
tell you soon. So I haven't
Right.
done it like a letter in the script for a really long time. What is
So it's
most important thing for you in the script when you're writing? Like what do you really lean on?
character is always the most important thing in
Okay.
anything. Character, because if you don't care, it doesn't matter how great it looks or how fantastic the world is, or if you don't care about the characters in Star Wars, you could care less about all of the other stuff going on. You have to care. And the great thing about like animated shorts, you can write stick characters, and if people care about them, they'll laugh and they'll cry and they'll hug their friends after they see it, because it's all about character. I mean, and that's me. That's just for me.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's funny. I don't want to mention his name because he's a really famous director, but
Sure.
um, but I talked to his second unit director.
Uh-huh.
So and for people that don't know, so when you make a film, you have first unit, second unit. First unit, you film like all the big stars, the dialogue scenes. Second unit goes off and they film chases and fights and all that kind of stuff. And this is a very famous director, and I met his second unit director, and I said, that's kind of amazing that like you get to film these huge action sequences. And he goes, no, you don't understand. I film all the dialogue sequences, because he could care less about people talking. He could care less about characters. He films all of the big action sequences.
Michael Bay.
I don't. I don't want to say. I don't want to say.
Great assumption, no?
But it's funny. So I was, and the reason I said that is because I think character is important, but there are lots of successful people that think other things are important,
Hmm.
and so I always double down on character. Doing plot for me is excruciating. I'm terrible with plot. I'm just not. It's the hardest part, and it's what I have to do before I get to write my dialogue, which is what I like. So
Hmm.
I spend months working on the plot and outlining and all I do that, and the carrot at the end, the candy waiting for me, is I get to write dialogue. I get to write. But I've set up in the plot like what my characters are going to go through, and when my characters are going to run into the person they don't want to run into, and when they're going to stay there. That's all been worked out. And I quote it all the time, but Alfred Hitchcock all the time. Right. He always said when the screenplay is finished and the dialogue is added, and that's a really great thing for writers to remember, because the screenplay is that you have worked out all of those. You've worked out what those conversations are going to be about. The fun for me is writing the conversation, but the work is to figure out when does that happen, and what you just talked about. When does the audience get to know about what this character is actually about or thinking, or you see something like Usual Suspects, which feels like we're not getting any information. We're just hearing historical fiction. We're just hearing all this other stuff until the last scene in the movie, when you realize he's made the entire thing up off the wall.
Right.
And so, and that's where one of the joys of that movie is everybody went, oh my gosh, that was such a reveal. And then there's people like M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, who tries to do that in every single movie, and it just it's exhausting.
Have you seen Old?
No, I you know what? I watched the trailer and that was enough.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, because what is first draft against second draft for you?
Second draft is a joy. First draft is tough.
Right.
Second draft is a joy because you've done the first draft and you have recognized what needs to be fixed, what needs to be changed, what you can do without, what you need more of. And the second draft is doing those things, because you actually have concrete evidence. Like what you did before, that one doesn't work. This one works great. Like you have concrete evidence. The first draft, you have no idea. You're in the dark. As someone described recently, and I love the whole quote, you're walking through clear water in a pool that's been painted black. And it's so right. It's just so completely right, because you just don't know. But I tell everybody, don't ever, 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 ever start rewriting a first draft. Right to the end of the draft before you start rewriting. Because if you start rewriting Act 1, then you'll spend the next 6 years rewriting Act 1, because it'll never be perfect. It just won't. So right to the end, and they call them vomit drafts. Are you familiar? They call them, because you have to get it out of your body as quickly as possible, and it's going to stink.
Just type it out.
Just get it out. Get it all out. Then you've got something to look at. Then you have a template. You can see, you can see if you. Yeah, you can see if you built the house too big and you need to cut back, or
right. How many drafts do you do usually before you think I can pitch this now?
Oh my God. So
okay, let's say how many
you do it until it's ready, and and then
then.
Well,
syndrome and all that.
The first movie that I got made. We went into production on the 18th draft.
Ooh.
And then we rewrote during production, like sitting on the curb, handing pieces of paper to the actors saying this. And then after the movie was finished, we did 5 or 6 days of reshoots, because there was just stuff that just didn't work at all. And so, they always say like movies don't come out because they're finished. They come out because that's the day they come out, and you have to stop working on it.
Right.
Like that's, it's Saturday Night Live. They don't put on a show at 11 o'clock because it's ready. They put it on because it's 11 o'clock.
Right.
And so, I would say after 4 or 5 drafts, and I mean, we're not talking full rewrites. We're talking fixing stuff. Then you can start sharing it with a few people that know what they're looking at. Like they can, and you might do a draft, and then you might do a substantial rewrite, and then I just want to fix the last scene, or I want to fix what I found is I usually have one character that I have not taken care of. I have one character that I have not made their arc land, or and sometimes I go back and I go, that character goes out of the movie because they're not changing anything. They're not actually, if they're in the movie, they better affect the movie.
Yeah, right? I mean, like,
Yes,
otherwise, what are they doing there? Like, it's
right.
just waste of, yeah,
You know,
footage.
you talk about Sarah Paulson. She gave me one of the great lessons of my whole life. And yes, and I think she's an unbelievably talented woman.
Oh,
But I had her in a scene in Griffin and Phoenix, and she said, Why am I here?" I said, "Oh well, for this and this and this and this." And she goes, "Well, that's just stupid. My character shouldn't even be here because I mean because my character is not affecting the scene in any way. Why am I here?"
right.
And I spent like 20 minutes like arguing for like no, it has to be. And then I just finally went, "Oh my God, you're completely right. I'm a moron. Or I'm just an idiot because." And that was my fault as a writer and a director because I had her in scene where she was not affecting the movie. If someone's in the scene, they better affect the movie. They better affect what's going on.
That's why
Or
she's
you don't.
great, right? I mean,
Oh,
she,
she was
yeah.
so right. She was so right.
I think I've heard something like that with Helen Mirren. She was supposed to walk down this big ballroom and stand next to a window, and I think the director was talking about. I don't even remember who what that was and what kind of movie that was. And she's like, "Okay, like," and he's like, "You're gonna have to walk like beautifully, you know." And she's like, "Okay, why am I walking there?" And he's like, "Well, it doesn't matter. You just walk, you know." Like, and she's like, "No, I need to know why I'm
Yeah,
walking."
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah, right.
Right. And beyond that, the when you're making a film, the lighting director needs to know, why am I lighting? What am I lighting? Like, am I lighting something that's sad? Am I lighting something that's happy? Am I like, do you want them in shadow? Like, all of those things. Like, there has to be reasons for everything because you're going to take years of work and you're going to make it down to 93 minutes or something like that, and it better all mean something. It better all
Right.
be information for the audience.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, sorry, I get all wound up. I start getting wound up. I start.
No, I love it because this is something that I recently spoke about with my classmates as well. We were like having all of like anime class, and we were like talking about some stuff, and I'm like, if it's not fitting the story, what is this doing there?
Right.
Otherwise, you're just wasting, at least just to shoot that, like you're wasting money
Yeah,
and
you're wasting
time.
time and money and
Yeah.
everything. People's time. I was wasting Sarah Paulson's time, and she let me know. Which at the time I was like, "Oh, I've spent years getting this ready. I know exactly what's going on."
Right.
But luckily, I was smart enough to go, "I'm talking to a smarter person than I am, and she's completely right, and I'm completely wrong."
Right? I mean, like, if you're not trying to say something, what are you trying to say?
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
otherwise, like, why am I watching this?
Right.
Right?
There was a movie recently where it was a big family all together, and there was one character who for the first, I don't know, hour and more of the movie never said a word.
Right.
And you start going, well, why is she there? Like, why it seems like such a waste. And then she has a scene where she's the only one that really knows what's going on. And the reason that she doesn't say a word is because she just sits there and watches all this crazy stuff going on. She doesn't have to say a word, but she's important because when she actually says what's going on, she has been there and seen it.
Right.
And so that paid, again, it was smart writing. It paid that off because I kept going, why is she in the scene? What's she doing in the scene? And then no, and then the writer was smart enough and went, this is why she was in the scene, and this is her character, and this is what she did, and it all made complete sense. Knives Out was the movie, right? Knives Out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ryan Johnson.
there you go.
Ryan Johnson. Yeah, he's like, oh, I loved the movie. I loved it.
It was so smart. It
Yeah.
was so smart. It made it fun because it was so smart. It wasn't like it's not like the laugh out loud kind of movie. It was not like a joke movie. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's so clever. You start smiling because it's so clever. It's just,
Yeah,
again,
exactly. I
that is
love the
that is all plot. That's really all plot. It's amazing. I watch it and I go, that's amazing. I can't do that.
Yeah, and I think he like got the whole movie up in like months. I think he said he finished writing and they shot it the same year.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's
Right?
amazing. That
Yeah,
never
and
happens. That
yeah,
never
because
happens.
he's like a big Agatha Christie fan with shows, and he's like,
Yeah,
"Who done it?" Like, and he's doing the second one, I think, now, with
right.
Kate Hudson.
Which I'm always curious about, because how do you do a second one of those? Like, I'm always curious. Like,
Right? Like thinking how many Poirots are there, right? Like
Oh,
it's
you're,
so
completely right.
numerous, right?
Agatha Christie, biggest selling author of all time,
Right.
of all
Oh
time.
my God. It's like David Suchet's Poirot for me. Like I grew up with that. Like it's something that I think he played him for 25 years or
Oh my
something.
God,
Yeah.
so
Now I
good.
can't see anybody as Poirot anymore.
No, no, no. And he's, first of all, he's a great actor,
Right. Oh
great actor. And when you
my
see him in other stuff, you're like, well, I can't believe that's the same human being.
God. Right.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
because
he's
Perot is
amazing.
so specific. It's so specific.
Yeah, and he's like his cane and the way he walks, like even the way he talks,
Yeah.
like it's so amazing. Even Jeb was so good in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really want to talk about the Paws of Fury, right?
Okay.
People who haven't seen the trailer, I thought I would just read out the log line,
Sure,
which
sure.
is Hank, a lovable dog with a head full of dreams of becoming a samurai, sets off in search of his destiny.
Right.
So you co-wrote it with Nate Hopper.
Nate Hopper,
Yeah.
right? And and uh and that's not the entire story. The entire story is it was based on Blazing Saddles. So we went and talked to Mel Brooks to get his
Oh, okay.
blessing. And and so, the story is about uh look, first of all, the movie's just funny. It's just ridiculously funny. But at the core of the movie, because it's animated,
Mhm.
it talks about racism like Blazing Saddles did.
Great.
And Hank, his whole life, the dog, all he wants to be is a samurai, basically a sheriff in the old, in olden
Right.
times, like a sheriff. And the only place he can do that is this place where only cats live.
Hmm.
So he has to go to where the cats are, and the cats, of course, don't like dogs. And so it's a way to make it palatable
Hmm.
without preaching, to say, here's the lesson. Can we please stop judging people on what they look like, and please start accepting people for what they're like inside? And that's actually, there's something in the film that says that, because he's a lovely, sweet, fantastic character, and they all hate him because of what he looks like. And of course, things happen and he wins everybody over, and it'll be a big love fest, because that's our job, right? Is you take that conceit and then, like, how can we make it a happy ending, right? We have to have a happy ending. It's an animated movie. Um,
Voiced
so
by Michael Cera, right?
Michael Cera, who's just the best. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
he's
he's
amazing. He's amazing.
so great. And we're so lucky, because Michael Cera, and then of course he has a samurai that teaches him to be a samurai, and that's Samuel L. Jackson, who's amazing. And Ricky Gervais plays the bad cat.
Mhm.
And then Michelle Yeoh, who I
Mhm.
worship at her altar. How great is she? Her movie right now? It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh my God, we're just like it's the talk of the campus, sort of like my my classmates, or like we were like talking about the movie like over and over.
Oh, I know. And she's so wicked smart, first of all, and lovely. And I think she's just one of the most beautiful creatures that has walked around on Earth. But when we were recording her, and she plays one of the cats in town, one of the female
Mhm.
cats in town. And but at the end, there's a gigantic battle, and she goes and she fights in the battle, and she's like Michelle Yeoh would be. She's great. But when we recorded Michelle, we were getting all the voice and stuff, and then we got finished, and we said, okay, well, now we need the battle sounds, we need the efforts, we need the
Right.
sounds you would make as you fought. And she started making the sounds, like you, with the microphone right in front. She started making the sounds, and the more she got into it, the more she started, like, kind of throwing a phantom punch, and then as she got really into it, then she backs away and she's kicking the air, and she's like jumping in the air, and she's doing all, like crouching tiger, hidden dragon, and we're like, she could kill everyone in the room if she wanted to right now. She could kill all of us. Like, she's so amazing. And then she stops and she giggles and she's sweet, and you're like, that can't be the same person. It's fantastic. But
Right.
yeah, she starts doing her stuff, and you're like, that's ridiculous. I have trouble standing up sometimes, and she's like leaping and kicking, and I'm like, what the heck, man? That's not fair.
Such a role model, like for I'm sure like all the Asian like people like me are like Michelle Yeoh is
Oh,
uh,
she's amazing.
yeah,
She's
she's
amazing.
our
But she's wicked, wicked smart. And that's the first thing you get from her, is like, and she's lovely, but she's so smart. so intelligent the way she approaches stuff. But then she's got that physical
Mm-hmm.
gift that she's worked on, and like all gifts, like what we're talking about entertainment business, if you have a gift, you got to work on it all the time. It's not like you can't take it for granted, because other people that have gifts will work harder than you.
Yeah.
And so she has all that stuff. Like Jackie Chan, when I met Jackie Chan, that guy works on it every day. He works on that every day and always has. And that's why there's one Jackie Chan.
Yeah, that's my first superhero for sure. I feel like all of the people who are my age and older, like back at home, will all agree. Like that's the celebrity that the first initial, the person that we like, oh my God, this is like the celebrity for us, Jackie Chan for sure.
He was doing special effects, but for real, forever. Like he was doing special effects in fights before there was such a thing as special effects in fights. Like he was doing it for real. And it's insane that he's alive, really. Honestly, it's insane he's alive.
Yeah, I think they say,
he said at some point he has broken every single bone in his...
exactly. That's exactly.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, there's no single bone that he has broken in his body. Yeah, like, it's wonderful that he's alive. Right?
Yeah, and then and then the fact that not only does he have to heal, he has to get back to what he was before the break.
Exactly, right?
Because he's gonna do all that stuff again, which is nuts.
This is the end of the first part of my conversation with screenplay writer Ed Stone. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. The second part will follow.
12 Hours in the Future is produced by Jim Carney and Maria Sanchir, with technical help from Curtis Antwi and Daryl Mandiola. Special thanks to Professor Tom O'Hanlon, Dean James Mann, Professor Stephanie Stowe, and Magda Soto. The executive producer and host of 12 Hours in the Future is Maria Sanchir. 12 Hours in the Future with Maria Sanchir is a series of conversations recorded by the Bronx Journal Radio through the resources of Lehman College, City University of New York. You can find us everywhere podcasts are available and on YouTube. This show is protected under international copyright and may not be recorded or retransmitted without written consent. Until next time, when we see you 12 hours in the future.